Coming up in today's video, guys, this is Katie's video. We've got a really deep, difficult removal. Lots of keratin, cotton bud use.
Yeah.
It's a doozy.
Super deep, that is.
That's like mega deep. That's really deep. Get rid of this mouse. Cool.
I've had a few like this recently.
Yeah.
Where they're really deep, and they've just, whether the sun and the heat, because it has been quite hot here over the last couple of weeks, so whether the heat has kind of started making people's ears itch a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
This almost looks like, you know, we talk about this epithelial migration, this movement of the skin off the eardrum. It almost looks like that's just not taking place, because although Katie did mention this patient has been using cotton buds, but to me, there's just it just doesn't look like just a cotton bud issue, because you look how firmly attached that skin is there. That is really just not coming off the drum particularly
hard
well.
As well.
Yeah,
it's
tough.
thick.
So that's proper keratin, and it's really deep. You can see if you look to the top, just above the suction tube, look how that's flexing there. So there's this whole deep layer over the eardrum that's causing real issues.
Oh, if you can manage to get a little grip on that, I can imagine that whole thing is going to start peeling down.
Yeah. It's almost like it stops at this point, because you can see, look how that's wiggling that top section there. So you've got this central deep core of keratin, and it's coming off the sides and coming up over the top there as well, which is what's causing it to just jam kind of in places. Those side bits are just holding on to that canal wall.
A bit of oil has gone in there now, by the looks of it.
Yeah, there was oil. In fairness, there was oil.
There was oil in there anyway.
It was oil in there anyway. So you can see just how tough, because normally you put oil in and it's going to loosen this really well. But this is just not going anywhere. And you know, I've been looking at the comment section a lot recently, because obviously we've been doing sort of comments corner at the end, which we still haven't come up with a better name for yet. So I've been looking at your comments as well, looking for questions, and a couple of people are saying, you know, there was one, and they were very polite, and they were very lovely about it, and they said, I do love the channel, I don't want to be negative, but I think there's better tools you could have gone in to start with, you know, to try and loosen this up. And when you're looking at something like this, you know, from the outside, without having a patient sitting in front of you, with sort of no other context, sometimes you can look at it and go, do you know what? Yeah, I probably could have used that tool there, or I could have done this there. Yeah. But when you're actually in the middle of it and you're seeing physically how your patient's reacting, like this is so deep, to get another tool in here would have been really difficult to do. So what Katie's doing is she's really trying to loosen all this with that suction tube, just to make it easy, you know, and more pleasant for the patient then, if you like. Yeah, you can't really go pop in the curette or the Jobson horn. You can't really go behind it, because it's right up against the eardrum. And you know, there are occasions, like obviously we don't give out anyone's like case history. You know, there are occasions where we cannot physically use certain tools. You know, because of a contraindication from the case history. So like sometimes you'll find that's why we don't use suction when we would love to use suction in some cases. But you know, if someone's got really nasty tinnitus, you don't really want to be introducing really loud noise in the ears. So there's a couple of reasons as to why we don't use. So what she's managed to do here now is you know, we talked about that piece that was sitting on the canal wall all the way around. She's removed that now, so this is starting to come away a little bit better. But what complicates it, she's got to try and hold on to that central plug, that central bigger section at the bottom, and you can see that top flappier bit of keratin keeps coming down in its way, which is just kind of interfering with the grip that she needs there. Get that bit at the top there now, that's what you need to get rid of. Not easy. Guys, if you do enjoy the videos, don't forget you can always like, heart, share, follow, and subscribe for me, please, if you don't mind. That would be absolutely fantastic. And if you really enjoy the videos, you can also become members of the channel. You'll get 2 extra videos every single week. This week there is a Teaching Tuesday, which will be coming up. I think this is Monday, so it'll be coming up tomorrow if you're watching this one. I've yet to record that video, so I can't tell you what the topic is yet, but it's coming up. So we'll be doing that over the next couple of days. And so if you don't mind doing that, that'll be absolutely fantastic. If you've got a burning question for Comments Corner, don't forget to put it into the comment section below, and it will appear on one of the videos, I'm sure. You know, we just basically, if we get a theme, if there's a few people asking the same question, I'll definitely put that in. So it's worthwhile just checking out the end of the videos. Make sure you'll see if your question got in there as well. Now, This is where it becomes a little bit more difficult. We've got this flap at the top that doesn't want to come away. She's trying to use that. If you notice, she's pulled it all into the suction tube, and then she's trying to kind of break off that top section and wiggle this piece out.
It's almost like it's too wide for that portion of the ear canal. It's moving quite free, but anytime it pulls for it almost like gets jammed.
Yeah.
And I could see she tried using the forceps and it just pushed it.
It dropped it back into place. That's the difficult. Sometimes with manual tools, you will end up, if you just catch it just in the wrong area, it'll just drop it back. I've had that at the end of times where you've kind of wiggled it forwards and tried to get it down the canal, and then you just touch it and it goes dunk, and all the way back to where it came from.
Just undone 5 minutes of work.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's a hard one because you couldn't get the forceps grip on the bottom section. It's too wide. There's not enough gap between the edge of the wax and the canal wall, because if you go out, you've got to accommodate the width of the jaws as well to go around it. Yeah. Fine end on here.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
It's not easy. The fine end's great for delicate work, pulling these flaps away, but it just hasn't got the suction power that the standard size ulnar tube has.
And it's always those little thin bits that just clarinet. Couldn't think of the word there.
Yeah, and there's not enough room to kind of. She's tried really hard to wiggle this. There's just not quite enough room to wiggle it, is there? There's just not enough gap around it.
I think if the forceps were like a little bit thinner,
you
can maybe grab it from the centre, like the centre piece, or a lot of oil's got in there.
Yeah, there's not a tremendous amount of room in this canal. Even the entrance is quite narrow as well, bless her.
Do you know if this was the patient's first visit, or was it?
Doesn't say.
No.
Didn't say. I'd imagine, looking at how the skin is formed, I'd imagine they've probably had it done once or twice before. I've got a cracker coming up soon. First time wax removal, and it was keratosis obturans. Oh, it was a beastie one. That's coming up this week as well, so make sure you stay tuned for that one, guys. That was a tough old one to get out, that one.
They always are, to be fair. They especially the more advanced kind of stages of
this one was as well. There was a whole bunch of canal remodelling going on. There was a little lump with a kind of drop around the back end, trying to get the wax out of there. It's a good one, guys. It's coming up. Not sure what day, but it is coming up this week, so keep your eyes peeled for that one as well. Look at this. She's got it. Start to come down.
Hold that grip now, or forceps, if it.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Go.
Look at that little round,
like instant relief.
Little round pebble going on there. Ear canal looking a lot better.
Oh.
It's exactly the same on the inside. But yeah, she's got. I mean, she's kind of cut her teeth on the first one now, and you do find sometimes that you'll find the canal. If you kind of work out what works on one canal, you're going to be in a good position to try and kind of do exactly the same thing on the other canal. But this one, look, a lot freer. See how that wasn't adhered to the canal wall as much, and this whole plug just started to come forwards.
That's what we think when we're getting people to use oil. That's what we kind of hope is going to happen. It's going to get around, it's going to loosen it up, and it's going to come out a lot easier, like this one.
Yep. And sometimes we get patients when they've used oil, like we say, if you use the oil, lie on the opposing ear for about a couple of minutes, just let the oil penetrate down, because especially when you go deeper keratin like this is covering that eardrum over, you need that oil to go right down towards the eardrum to get that out as well. But yeah, it's I think it's still hanging on. I think she's managed to pull it forwards, but it looks to me like there's a piece of skin behind. You can see she's really trying to kind of wiggle to detach that bit of skin.
Forceps got to be. I was going to say,
I'd probably forceps it, or maybe Ray Curette over the top, just to pull that just to get a little bit more pull on that skin.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's what you need.
That's good. Yeah, you can see that coming.
That's what you need. That's fighting it.
Yeah, it's tough.
That is hanging on in there.
See it flicking off there. Oh, she's done the flip there around. These tools that we use, they're sort of double-ended. So we got a hook on the one side, and the round curette on the other.
I don't like the double-ended ones so much. I prefer you don't like the angled,
ones,
I like the angled ones.
I don't mind them. you're just getting used to them. 'Cause I've been so used to using the straight ones.
tools.
Yeah.
But look at that. That
Wow.
was a chunk. I mean, I would say that's probably that's a lot of lining of that deeper part of the canal wall there.
Wow.
Look how clean that came away though. Fair play to her. Yeah, but that was a good one.
Ooh. 2 centimeters.
I'm going to go, that's probably just under an inch. Okay, so we've got 2 questions. So Shellbell2257 wants to know, what is the treatment to fix glue ear?
Well, there's a couple of things really. There's a few things.
Go on, you reel some off. I'll reel some off.
So I tend to start with steam with decongestant oil.
Yeah.
Inhaling that through your nose, because that will help to open up the eustachian tubes to drain the fluid a little quicker.
Yeah. So
go back 4 weeks.
I don't mind. Do you want to
go back and forth? Go back and forth.
So even before, like, so you could try that first. When I worked in the NHS, you'd also do a watch and wait. So sometimes it will resolve on its own without you having to do anything with it. But there's certain things you can do to speed that sort of drainage process up. Steam inhalation is one, okay. What else could you use? Using the Valsalva technique, or a device that helps something like an Otovent, O-T-O-V-E-N-T. That I think is in the link tree description if you're looking for one of those as well. So balloon you blow up with your nose helps to drain that fluid a bit quicker.
Yep.
If that doesn't work,
if that doesn't work, a lot of our patients tend to see the GP, which usually or the GP usually suggests or prescribes like a steroid nasal spray.
steroid nasal spray, yep.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, then you'll probably end up in front of ENT.
Yeah.
It depends on whether it's a chronic, whether you're looking at a chronic condition, so you've had it for years and years and years, or whether it's a relatively new condition. They may look at either inserting what they call a grommet, which is a very tiny plastic tube just inside the eardrum, which allows air and fluid out, or what's more commonly used for certainly for kids where this condition is most common, affects about 1 in 3 kids, this one, is temporary hearing aids. So you use a hearing aid temporarily until the child grows enough that the fluid starts to drain away on its own.
Very, very common with colds, flus, sinus problems, allergies, infections. Very common. So it's nothing to usually worry about until, unless it lasts a very extended period of time, but it's about 6 to 8 weeks by itself without doing any treatment. So that's the average kind of time frame we would expect.
So second, I'll read this because you're very glasses.
I can't even see that. Just one long line.
So Cassandra Corley 44 to use a member. So thank you very much for being a member, Cassandra Corley. I just found out from my doctor that itchy ears are a common symptom of perimenopause. Do you ever have patients in their 40s to 50s that come in with itchy ears, but there is no wax or skin present? Yes, and to answer your question, your doctor is exactly right. During perimenopause, there are a lot of hormonal changes going on. And a lot of the time that can make skin a lot drier, okay? And we always say you produce an oil in the outer part of the ear canal to moisturize the skin before it falls away. So that doesn't happen quite so much. It's more common for that to dry out during perimenopause. And what you end up with then is a very dry skin inside the ear canal, which is the most common cause of itchiness. Okay, so that does happen. I did actually ask Mrs. B about this because she's got her own channel, which is Mrs. B's World. If you go on Instagram, you can take a look at that. And she talks a lot about perimenopause on there. So I was like, they've had this really interesting question come in. And I could kind of see why it would happen, but I was like, do you think this? And she was going, yep, that's exactly what happens. So there you go. So there you are, guys. So check that out as well if you don't mind doing that with me. That'd be fantastic. If you want a bit more information about perimenopause, check out Mrs. B's World. But guys, thank you so much for your really good questions this time. And we look forward to the next 2 questions coming up in the next video as well. Don't forget, if you want them to appear here, you've got to put them in the comments. You've got to be in it to win it, guys. So make sure you put it in there. But as always, guys, take care of yourselves.
Take care of your ears.
And take care of one another. Myself and the lovely Miss Taylor Green. We'll see you for the next video. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.